It's fall, everybody. I know that probably Tennessee fans are still celebrating in the streets after that shocking win that they pulled off at home in their home field, 52-48 over number then 3 Alabama. I don't know what's going on with Westbrook. To me, and I don't want to use this kind of language, but to me, you just acting like a child. When somebody enters your life or somebody does something for you that is good, take a moment to thank them. Hi, Mark, how you doing? Good, how are you?
Yeah, TikTok, I'm just rolling on the block. Marisa took me, heard that. Podcast show about to start. Heard that. You should know if entertainment is your goal. You talking sports or travel, yo. This the hottest pod show. Heard that. She got her shoes, everything she says is truth. If you don't know, now you know. All you ever gotta say is heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that, heard that. Look, all you ever gotta say.
What's up, Heard That Nation? Listening in the United States and around the world, you are listening now to the Heard That with Marisa podcast. If you're watching right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so that you stay in the know of every single new episode. And now I'm getting into documentaries too. Documentaries and mini films that I post up on this channel. You want to make sure that you are tuned in for that so you can get the alerts of everything that I got coming out. It's fall, everybody. I know some of y'all got those heaters cranked up. I saw on the news that some parts of the United States has snow already. We're in October, right? October's supposed to be sweater weather.
Oh, sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Sweater weather.
Oh, God, I would.
Finally, sweater weather.
According to the experts of fashion and everything. I mean, Texas today, I walked outside, it was 37 degrees. And those that have followed this show and know me know that I'm originally from the mid-state. So low temperatures like this, I'm used to, but not already in October. But Texas does funny things with the weather. It'll one day be 40, 50 something degrees, and then it'll climb right back up to like 85, 90 degrees. So it teases all of us here when it's fall, and fall is officially here. And it's like, oh, just kidding. I want to go back and have into summer, sweat it out a little bit. Here's 95 degrees for you. So those that got snow, be careful when you're out there driving, shovel your sidewalks, put some salt out, make sure we don't slip on ice, and be careful up there. And welcome to winter. Can we mash that together? Winter, fall and winter, we can mash that up together. But that's quite surprising already in October that there's snow in some of the parts of the world already. Not, again, not from where I'm from, because, living in Michigan as it did for many years before I moved here to Texas, it's a mitten. So literally, the Upper Peninsula listeners and everything else can relate to what I'm saying, that snow hits them anytime. Could be September, and now they got it in October. So good luck with that. Don't bring it here. That's why I moved away from there. But a couple of times it snowed here, which was quite a surprise to me. When you look at different kinds of surprises, and again, I hear from so many fans, and thank you for watching and following and supporting all the crazy things that happened this past weekend. I know that probably Tennessee fans are still celebrating in the streets after that shocking win that they pulled off at home in their home field, 52-48 over number then 3 Alabama. Alabama has since dropped to number 6, number 7, and Tennessee skyrocketed from 6-3 in the polls, latest polls that came out. And looking at that game, it was just absolutely unbelievable how well the offense, both sides of the ball played, and how the defense was just, it was back-to-back scoring. Both of the quarterbacks, Bryce Young coming off of a shoulder sprain, it looked pretty good, try to carry that team again. But I wanted to, hopefully I get his name right, Hendricks, I believe. I got to look it up while I'm sitting there talking to you. For the quarterback from Tennessee, Tennessee hasn't had a good team like this since 2006, I read. And that's just unbelievable to me. I thought there was a pretty decent team, but I haven't been paying attention in detail as much as the Tennessee faithful and those that were like absolutely losing their minds. And it was nothing but a beautiful sea of orange and white that stormed the field after their kicker made that field goal kick with like 4 or 3 seconds left to win the game to seal it for Tennessee. And 2006, Here's the thing. I was following some people online saying, why are they celebrating like they won the national championship and everything else? Well, listen, Michigan fans can relate because that was us when we finally, after 15 years, beat Ohio State. First time under Jim Harbaugh's tenure that finally beat Ohio State, and it was soundedly 42-27. This year, we don't know how it's going to result to because Ohio State week to week has been looking good, and now we'll come down to, I'll talk about that in a further podcast in the show. And everybody knows that's been following me knows that I'm a Michigan fan through and through. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to turn out in November when we get to that point. But with Tennessee, this team is absolutely amazing, and Coach Josh Heupel has really done an outstanding job with this team. I mean, I'm looking at their stats; it's just unbelievable how it just came all together. How Josh Heupel has brought this team all together, and the pieces that they have. Hendon Hooker, apologize about that. Hendon Hooker is his name. I had to pull that up just to verify. But Hendon Hooker's name has now been talked about, I want to say about week 3, week 4 for Heisman, in this Heisman race. It was just originally CJ Stroud of Ohio State, literally just running away from it. But now you're getting some of these players that from, I believe there's now 9 undefeated teams that are left out of the last week that when the teams that were playing. The battle of the undefeateds, Michigan still being one of them, with running back Blake Corum, who has just been absolutely outstanding. But since CJ Stroud now has company, and the thing with me when I look at this Heisman Trophy race, I hate it year after year that literally it's become a quarterback title. But I'm just like when the voters and those that are able to vote, the past Heisman Trophy winners, some of the news media, those that are like in that core group of those that can vote for the next Heisman winner. I'm glad now, as part of the last few years, that it has been, yes, some of the years that I've been watching the Heisman Trophy ceremony, the quarterbacks that have been selected have been the right ones that have been selected. They earned their spot in there. Don't get me wrong. And I don't mean no disrespect to it, but I like to see some running backs in there, some defensive ends that have been in there. Finally, let me see, last year Bryce Young did win it for Alabama, and the previous Heisman Trophy winner, and his name is slipping me right now, that was not a quarterback, but won, and he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to come to me in a moment. Also, he won the Heisman Trophy race, or Heisman Trophy, the trophy itself. So you got Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, who's just been absolutely amazing for them. You had, obviously Bryce Young again. I think that I don't know, he may be in the finals. He will not win it, in my opinion. That 2 weeks that he was out with a shoulder injury, but still, I mean, he came back versus Tennessee this past weekend. I mean, he looked incredible. It was a slugfest back and forth, and it was just entertaining to watch. Caleb Williams, another quarterback out at USC. USC is just playing outstanding too. But again, I bring up Blake Corum from Michigan, and not because I'm a Michigan person, but what he has done, 5 touchdowns against UConn. I'm going to say that we played them week 2, week 3. The amount of yardage that he has ran, just an absolutely well-oiled machine. And I've talked to people that have said, yeah, Blake Corum is good and he's phenomenal. He should be considered for Heisman Trophy. But will the last week when they play Ohio State, is that going to ruin his chances? Again, people thinking Ohio State is going to be a one-sided thing, which I don't think it is. I think it's going to be closer than what the experts say, but we're not there in November. It's always one game at a time, with Michigan State coming to the Big House this Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see when it gets all down to it towards the end of the season, and we get to the division championships, and then who's going to go to what bowl. It's so crazy that already the experts, quote unquote, are already talking about the Heisman Trophy winners, who they think is going to win it. The bowls already. I saw a article out on ESPN.com already about who's, who could possibly go to what bowl game if the season ended. And I'm like, okay, we just slow down. I'm trying to enjoy. This is this is the best football season that I've seen so far. And I want to enjoy it as a fan. I'm sure you all as well. So I want to hear about Heisman Trophy race and Heisman Trophy, yes. Bowl games, I don't want to hear about that yet. Let's enjoy, we got my guys are 7-0. They got a bye week this weekend, and then they play. I said this Saturday, it's next Saturday, they go against Michigan State. So I'm like, slow it down. We're in week 8. Let's pump the brakes on figure out who's going to what bowl, and let's just go week by week, right? And just enjoy it there. So, but with all of that happening in college football, we got the NBA. The NBA is back the other night. We had 2 key games that was on, and it was the 76ers at the Celtics, and the Lakers were at the Warriors. 76ers came up with a win, 126-117. And of course, the conversation out of the whole entire thing was how this team was going to do without their head coach, Ime Udoka. Sorry about that. Ime Udoka, again, suspended the whole entire year for inappropriate conduct with a staffer. And they started off slow, like in the paint, they could not get the points going. Joel Embiid was looking really good. The rest of the core team that was following him, but then slowly but surely, the tandem of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum started to light up finally. Towards the second quarter, and it just pretty much just started dominating in mid-third and then the rest of the fourth. So it's going to be, I think the spotlight is going to be big on the Celtics to see what they can. I think the interim coach, Joe Mazzulla, I want to say his name right, Mazzulla, he's the one that's the interim head coach taking over that role for a full season. Again, I talked about this on my previous show, with the Coach Udoka's suspension and for the full season, but they haven't decided on if he would rejoin the team at the next season, or what they're going to do with his tenure there. And that's the part I don't like, because you're like dangling the carrot right in front of them, like, okay, you're suspended this full year for inappropriate conduct, but we haven't decided if we're going to let you go or keep you to come back. So I think they're going to try to see how interim coach Joe Mazzulla is going to do with this team. I think this team is dialed in. Again, it was listening to the commentators who were calling the game, and it seemed like that they was concerned, saying, how are they going to gel? All of this is going on. Obviously, the media has a job to do with talking about, the things that happen off the court. But I think now the focus needs to be on this team and what they're going to bring. They got this first win under their belt, long season, many more wins that they could possibly get. I think I picked them before this unfortunate incident happened to get back to the finals because they just look good. They look sharp. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, this young talent that's on here on the team. I think that they are one of those teams again to get back to the finals. You had the ring ceremony of the Golden State Warriors before they took on the Lakers, and they won easily 123-109 out the box. And what's surprising to me, it shouldn't be a surprise. It's just it was so cool to see LeBron. If you remember his draft night, he came out in an all-white suit. I mean, it was literally all white everything. It was so clean and so crisp. And then he came to the stadium, the court, and he had an all-white suit on, but this time with no shirt, no tie, anything else, just still looking ripped. In his late 30s, and you wouldn't know if he's in his late 30s because he was playing like a boss last night. Him and AD, Anthony Davis, literally was carrying the Lakers. I don't know what's going on with Westbrook. I mean, he wasn't tuned in to the team during preseason. He surely wasn't dialed in during the game itself. I mean, he did score, I want to say 15, 16 points. I got to look that up. But it's just unfortunate that he is having this kind of attitude with the team. I know behind the scenes, some trade talks, some rumors of friction. When this team goes and huddles up, he doesn't want to be part of it, and all of that. I mean, the thing is, him being in this game for so long, in the NBA for so long, frustrations and contract negotiations, all of that, it happens year after year after year after year. But the thing is, you don't want to show that with your teammates, let alone in a public eye. Fans are watching, they're seeing you, being so distant and everything else. That's not a good look. And I know in the back of the mind, he just doesn't care about what people say, what people think, and everything else. You should, especially if you don't want to be part of this organization, if you want to be traded and not be, in a Laker uniform. But to me, and I don't want to use this kind of language, but to me, you just acting like a child. When you don't want to get involved in huddles, when you don't want to listen to your coaches, when you sit so far on the opposite end of the bench and everybody is trying to get you involved in a team and everything else, and it's just literally you checked out. And it's sad that you can't put your differences aside and, table side that for a moment and then handle what you need to handle after, the double zeros are on the clock in the fourth quarter and it's all done with. It's just absolutely bizarre of his behavior. And it reminds me when AD was on the Pelicans and that whole entire thing, and he, was issues going on with the powers to be there in the Pelicans, and magically my light just came on. But yes, he showed, he had some frustrations and everything behind, and plus he was dealing with the injury, so he was in street clothes and all of that. But he was still involved in, with his team and the teammates until, trade happened and everything else. He was no longer on the team and now with the Lakers. So I don't know. Hopefully Russ gets it together, figures out, what's an amicable situation between him, the coach, the owner, the GM. What can they do? And this is not a good look with him and Darvin Ham, who's the first year head coach of the Lakers. Something's got to give on one way or another. But Russ, at the end of the day, you're an employer. I'm sorry, you're an employee. You're an employee. So, be part of the team or figure out a way to get yourself out of the team, out of that situation, and move on to the next, because it's not a good look. They need you. Right now, they're 0-1 with many more games to go and many more games that are coming up. My Pistons are playing the Magic at home. I'm a little nervous, y'all, about how that's going to be. I'm not sure. So we'll see how that goes. I'm rocking a Lions hat that I just got from New Era. And it's really neat. It's got all the Motor City signs and all kinds of different things to remember about Detroit. And hopefully it's bringing some kind of good mojo, because we face the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm getting Cowboy fans in the chat and it reminded me, to brace myself for this weekend coming up and seeing how we're going to do and all that. And I'm like, listen, it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. We had a week off. I mean, it's not looking good defensively if we still have the injuries. Hopefully our quarterback gets it together, our whole team gets it together and make it be, an effort game. Right now, these teams that are seeing our team that's on the schedule basically are just literally calling it a win, automatic win. I'm like, doggone, I can't even give my guys a try to get this W. So who knows? But that's my team, and I'm going to stick beside them. That's how I do. Talking about basketball, and I know I talked about football a little bit, but going back to basketball, and the last thing I want to say on this podcast is many of y'all that have been following me know that I'm a person that loves to give back. And I always said to people, and I've said this to fans, I've said this in chats and other people that have invited me on their platform, on their podcasts, on their shows, that walking in gratitude is an incredible thing. And that whether we podcast or media people or, listeners and fans of different podcasts and different shows of that, we are all connected, whether it be we like the same team, same music, same tastes as far as, different hobbies and that sort of thing, but we're all connected when it comes to those things. And I had the wonderful opportunity this past week to be invited to the Dallas Mavericks Toast to Tip Off. Dallas Mavericks are getting ready to play on Wednesday. They're tipping off. They're in Phoenix for their first game of the season. And it was the neatest thing. It was really cool because when I lived in Michigan at the time, I got to, be part of fan events for Lions and for the Pistons. And it was really awesome to get the crowd hyped up and then, see the manager come out, the GM come out, the players come out and everything else. But I never got to see one since living in Dallas, since living in Texas outside of Dallas for almost 8 years. So I got invited to go see this Toasted Tip-Off, which is an incredible thing. It's not just about, getting everybody excited about the upcoming season, which is awesome in itself, but it's also, the Dallas Mavericks have been known so much to give back through the Mavs organization. The foundation is a nonprofit organization that gives to other nonprofit organizations and provides, aid for children, for families, for women. And again, those that have followed me know that not only am I a podcaster, but I have, 2 full-time jobs. And one of them I'm very passionate about, which is I work at Minnie's Food Pantry, which is a nonprofit organization that provides meals for those that need it. And it's community funded. So many other people that come from different areas of Texas or outside of Texas comes and gets a complete meal that they prep in their housing, apartments or wherever that they live. And they don't have to worry about where their next meal comes from. And we also take care of those that are currently homeless. And we have, packages for them, easy to open, ready, accessible foods for them to eat. So we have that. And this tied into what was happening that evening. And I thought it was incredible that it was not just, getting ready for the season, getting hyped, Mavs fans for life, all in the audience and everything. But it was also talking about, giving back. They auctioned on different Mavericks items, jerseys, hats, tickets to when the Mavs play, the Lakers suite seats and all that. And it was so amazing. And it was such an incredible night. And I don't know why y'all that are watching on YouTube, I don't know. I'm not trying to slide out of the view. For some reason, the chair keeps moving over. But it was such an incredible night to see, to meet the players, to the head coach, Jason Kidd, owner Mark Cuban, the GM, Nico Harrison, Sent Marshall, the COO, and the other people that were involved in there, Shift Key, who is a proud partner of the Mavs Foundation and the Dallas Mavericks. And it was just so awesome to see all of that happening, that people want to help the community, they want to be involved in the community while, getting excited for the Dallas Mavericks upcoming season. And that is an amazing thing, especially whatever whatever team that you're a fan of, if they're all about community, that's incredible, because it's more than just basketball. And that's what I saw when I was sitting there in the audience. And they had an opportunity to raise money to continue to provide, such as the place that, like I said, that I am a proud employee at Minnie's Food Pantry here in Plano, Texas. But there was one thing I wanted to do during the time of 2020, and I hate going back there, but there was a beautiful blessing that came out of this that I want to end the show on. 2020, again, was not that, it was a horrible year for all of us, right? So we had everything shut down. We were all in our houses. I was furloughed from my full-time job. And so I am incredibly grateful that my husband was working at the time. And so he was working and I was at home. My nephew came here from Michigan to enjoy his senior year, and that was cut off short. The second week of March, he went on spring break, and literally spring break turned into homeschool until he went back and, went through graduation at Allen High School and graduated. And so during that time I was at home, I was able to, the middle of 2020, through a temporary employee service called ShiftSmart, was able to go and be a temporary employee at Minnie's Food Pantry. And here's the full circle moment that I want to talk about. And so I was a temporary employee along with 160, 200 employees. We were there helping and serving those that needed it, because I mean, literally people couldn't go grocery shopping. Our groceries stores were empty, shelves were empty, supplies, the ones that I'll never take for granted again: paper towel, toilet paper, cleaning supplies, Lysol, disinfectant wipes, that sort of thing, because we're in a pandemic, and it was on the rise at the time. And while all of that was happening, it was amazing to see several things. One, how much the community wanted to be involved and give back, even though their situation was not as, it was dire, or somewhat dire. It didn't matter what all walk of life that they were coming from. They wanted to help their neighbors. They wanted to help their fellow man. They wanted to help the people that needed help just as much as they did. It felt good for them to give back. And so that was incredible to see the amount of people that continually donated, that did food drives, that dropped off food, that dropped off clothing, that dropped off water, and wanted to make sure that people had those items in their house, in their apartments, wherever they live, those that were homeless, make sure that they were taken care of. And so all of this was happening, and I'm just so grateful that, I was part of the ShiftSmart group, and that was getting some kind of, pay. I was, feeling important, that I could contribute to the household like I did before, that it wasn't just all on my husband, that it was, two people contributing, to the lights and the heat and air conditioning, because at the time it was just, super hot, putting, food in the refrigerator and all that, at least contributing somewhat that way. And so the time with ShiftSmart was getting ready to end. And so just like, I started off as a volunteer there, and I wasn't back to my employer yet at the time. It was almost, it was towards the beginning of 2021, right around this, early spring, mid-spring, that I was back to my employer. But during that time, it didn't have, it was towards the end of it, and there was some uncertainty. I was looking at my coworkers that I bonded with, and they, we served with, we danced, we sang, we made, food boxes and everything else. And I'm going, okay, what's going to happen now? Again, with me, I'm just happy to be here, and what I can do. But some of these people were like, they needed the income for their families, because either they were the head of the household, or it was just a situation that they had. All of us had different situations going on. So I met Mark. I didn't know Mark Cuban, but seeing him, how he was so excited at, on the sideline of the games, like when he's involved, with every referee that's blowing, every technical foul that's wrongly against, called wrongly against his team, or something that the team is winning, the Mavs are winning, their Mavs are losing, all of that. Like literally, he is the ultimate fan. You cannot challenge him on that. The enthusiasm is right there on the sideline. And so he, out of the goodness of his heart, we came into this room where we were getting ready to have a lunch. And we were just, it was towards the end of ShiftSmart, ending, and what we were going to do. And so all of us are having a lunch, and we were prepared to, hug one another and say, let's, just enjoy this week, enjoy this moment and everything else. And I also want to shout out St. Marshall too, because she was part of this as well. I'm going to try not to get emotional on this microphone, because this moment means so much to me. But we had envelopes that were sitting in front of us, and we opened up these envelopes with the instruction of Cheryl Jackson, who was the founder of Minnie's Food Pantry, and her executive team were all up front. And we opened these envelopes, and it said, I got the job. And that meant that we got the job. It's wonderful. We're me, for a moment, I'm going, okay, I mean, I'm already here. Of course, we have the job, through all this. But Mark Cuban made it happen for all of us to stay for an extended amount of time. That's incredible, And literally, we all lost it. We all lost it. It was a special moment because it was like right around the holidays going into the new year. And when I tell you the amount of tears, the amount of happy tears, the amount of sigh of reliefs that happened during that moment, I mean, it was so doggone incredible. It was an incredible moment. Incredible, thankful. Changed my perspective, and I had my perspective changed during the pandemic, and then after I was, went back to my, I got the call back to my full-time job. Your whole mental changes. Your whole gratitude moment changes when you go from not working to going back to work, or you got a new opportunity at a different employer, different job, and it's better than before. Your eyes get open, your mind shifts to, okay, I need to take a moment and be thankful for every single thing that just happened during the 16 months that I was off on my full-time job. But I was here for the 7 to 8 months during Shift Smart, almost a year. And then Mark Cuban and Sid Marshall, they all made it happen. And so at this event, he was there. He was a table away from us. It was him, it was Coach Kidd, it was GM Harrison. And I told my boss is Action Jackson, Cheryl Jackson. I said, I need to thank him. I need to thank him for what he's done. I'm like, I may mess up my words, I may flutter some, I may start bawling, I don't know. But I need to thank him for what he's done. And so she had recorded a video. She's like, come on, Marisa, let's go do it. So during the time she recorded a video, and I was like, I just, photo, video, whatever. I just want to thank this man. So I walked over and I said, Mr. Cuban, Mark, how you doing? Thank you so much. During the time where it was the pandemic, I did not know when I was going to go back to my employer, but thank you for supporting Minnie's Food Pantry and through Shift Smart, that myself and employees, we had jobs during, that latter part of that COVID year, beyond into the next year. And I just wanted to thank you. You got me through a really rough time. And he said, it wasn't me, it was the powers of be and Shift Smart and everything else. But that moment, I didn't see Mark Cuban, the GM, or Mark Cuban, the Mavs fan for life. Whew. I saw Mark Cuban, the humanitarian. Sorry, I heard that, nation. That's who I saw. That took a person that wasn't sure about where her next income was going to come from. It made it possible for myself and the amazing people that I was working with. That meant everything to me. And to thank them meant everything to me. And I'm crying on my own Joe. But when somebody enters your life, or somebody does something for you that is good, that comes right on time. Ooh. Take a moment to thank them. Take a moment to thank them, and that's all I can say. Just take a moment to thank. That has fully changed my perspective in my giving. It has changed my perspective and how I look at things. How, I look at paper towel, how I look at cleaner, how I look at milk, eggs. Because again, those were the things you couldn't even get at the time. I try to do more to help out people. More so, not just at Mini School Pantry, but on my own. Because here's the thing, you can't take it with you, the material things. But what you can leave is a legacy. And that's important. And what will people remember about you when you leave this earth? That's the most important thing. So that's why I always am so thankful for every single one of you all that have followed this show, that have watched this show, that have said kind words to me. I appreciate you, and I thank you. And I'm sorry for the sappy tears. Those that are listening, those are watching, these are good tears. These are grateful tears. And yeah, they're good and they're grateful tears.
Mark, how you doing? Good. How are you? I wanted to give you a thanks real quick on behalf of Ship Smart. That was part of the mission.
Awesome.
And during a time where I was furloughed from my job, didn't know what to do next, Ship Smart came along and we were extended in Mini School Pantry, and I wanted to thank you for this.
No, don't thank me. Thank God.
So if you're not following me, if you're not following me, please follow me on heardthatwithmarisatigney.com. I am on Instagram at Marisa Tigney Podcast, Marisa_Tigney_podcast. Lovely Marisa T on Twitter. I'm on Facebook at Heard That with Marisa T. And of course, as I introduced on the top of the show, I'm on YouTube, so click and subscribe. I promise you I don't be crying like this all the time. But thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, for watching, for following me. And as I always end the show, ladies and gentlemen, take care, stay safe. I'm out of here.